the commitment. Janari Carr, 4-star interior offensive lineman out of IMG Academy, originally from Ocala, Florida. Hey, the last offensive lineman we got from Ocala, Florida, ended up being a pretty good player for us in Jake Slaughter. So I think there's some excitement to have here with Janari Carr. 6'4", 336 pounds. I was watching a little bit of his tape here. He moves really well. He has a lot of quickness, played a lot of tackle for left tackle specifically for IMG Academy. I don't know how much of that playing tackle would translate. He's going to be a guard here, so I don't know if there's any swing ability between guard and tackle. But he has the quickness and the speed to line up at tackle in probably desperate situations there. I think you look at this 437 composite ranking. I think that's a bit low. He had a really good rivals camp in Miami a month or so ago. Someone I could see jumping up the rankings a little bit. I think this is a really good commitment for the Gators to land.
Yeah, so like you said, 4-star on Rivals, I believe. 247 and On3 have him as a 3 in their industry composites, but 437. So that's kind of on the fringe of being a low 4-star. But I think when you look at the offers here, the teams that were competing for him, I mean, Tennessee, Alabama, a couple of those that are in the mix there, some other SEC schools. So clearly a guy who was drawing some interest. Like you said, mostly played tackle in high school. Assuming I think he pretty clearly projects as a guard in college. Looking at his film, I think the athleticism definitely stood out to me, like you said. I think I was a little bit more impressed with his run blocking reps than his pass blocking reps on film that I saw. Though some nice pass blocking reps, don't get me wrong, but I think what I saw from his run blocking was pretty good power there. I think kind of raw. I think some footwork and hand movement stuff could probably be a little bit better, but I mean, ultimately, I think you've got a guy that probably won't play in 2026, but I think has the tools to potentially develop into an SEC starter someday. So I think a solid pickup there. Kind of getting a few guys like this as we try to get steam, kind of still waiting on a really big name to pop. But I think that could change.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of momentum right now on the recruiting trail. Some other names that we're kind of waiting for. But I mean, yeah, you mentioned it, Carr, some good offers, Tennessee and Alabama specifically. Tennessee was a team that had some momentum with him. This wasn't some gimme battle. I think it was, but it also wasn't. Because Tennessee, they had a crystal ball in from Chad, what's his name for On3? Chad
Simmons?
Chad Simmons, yes. Chad Simmons had put a projection in for him to go to Tennessee. Now, I was never really too worried, but those other schools did want him. Tennessee, maybe if they had a really fantastic visit, which I don't think they're going to get now that Carr is committed, he could have ended up going to Tennessee or Bama, put some pressure, but we did end up landing him. I think you mentioned it, pretty high upside, maybe not fully developed there. I think someone that could really work well under the Rob Sale tutelage. I don't know if you saw it. Rob Sale tweeted, and he just tweeted Osiris Torrance and Jake Slaughter. They're bricks. So they got the All-American thing right there. That was a pretty elite tweet from the coach there. But I mean, yeah, you're getting another kid from IMG Academy. You're not recruiting IMG at an elite level. I don't think IMG is as stacked as it used to be anymore.
I don't think so either, no.
It's kind of fallen a little bit off, but still, they're still really good recruits out of IMG and building more and more of a connection there. Maybe this could help you try to land Jake Krull, the edge rusher, although he does have an O-line that's committed to Oklahoma that he's good friends with. So it's going to be real interesting what happens there. But, I mean, I think he's someone that could definitely finish in that 4-star range. Interior offensive linemen usually are ranked a bit lower. Less of an upside compared to tackles. I mean, just look at the NFL and what tackles make compared to guards and centers make. So it's just naturally going to happen.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think, I think that's a good point you made about, getting IMG guys. Obviously, I don't think it quite is the talent farm that it used to be, but still, like you said, good players there. Nice to make inroads. We'll say, I think he's a little bit different than some other other IMG guys that you're recruiting. Because a lot of them are from all over the place. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but he's an Ocala kid, right? Originally from
I said that earlier.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, kind of a guy that Florida already had like some, I'm sure some ties with, some, geographic ties with, staying pretty close to home for him, but still nice to see. And just nice to see that the recruiting class get some momentum. There was a lot of talk about
Mhm.
the slow start, and I don't think either of us were all too concerned about that, just because this is the time when it really starts heating up. Like, guys aren't going to commit en masse before they're taking their official visits and stuff like that. But nice to see them, add another commitment. And just nice to see these recruiting weekends turn into guys committing coming off those visits.
Yeah, out of Ocala, just like Jake Slaughter was, who our last Ocala commit or recruit was. He had other commits, I believe. Or maybe in that same 2019 recruiting class, there were a couple of kids out of Vanguard in Ocala that end up going to like LSU and Jacksonville State, I believe, interestingly enough. So, yeah, I really like the commitment. Second. Okay. And I think it's going to end up working out pretty well for us. I think he's someone we could really develop. And I feel like we're getting to a point, especially with guards, where you can trust Rob Sale and this Jonathan DeCoster development here. And projected top 5 offensive line by PFF just the other day. So developed some really good players. And I'm excited to see who ends up popping next. And it's probably going to be a pretty large offensive line class. So this is only a first of many to come.
Yeah, which I'm excited to see, because I think we both have said like we'd like to see more higher end recruiting along the offensive line, like going and getting some top notch prospects. Because I think it's pretty hard to be critical of the development that these guys have done here. They're really getting the most out of these guys, developing them into very capable potential all SEC caliber players and NFL draft prospects. You just would like to see them get, a few guys that maybe don't require as much development there. But I think opportunity to do that here, an opportunity for some early playing time with, what Florida's set to lose off the offensive line going into 2026, I should say.
Yeah, you're going to lose Damian George after this season. Now, Kinjaya Harris and Bryce Levette will probably still be here, although Levette maybe starting at tackle again, or we'll see what happens.
And Slaughter gone.
Yeah, Slaughter gone at center, which maybe Carr could compete for that center job. I don't know. We'll talk about that later in the show, actually, about the offensive line. But yeah, I think he could get some playing time decently early on, but definitely not his first year here. But you never see that with our recruits.
Yeah, pretty rare.